Okay. Yay. Okay. So what's really funny is I actually had two things come up because I'm very mindful about the things that I want to teach you guys about and talk about. So I'm really curious if I drop two things, I want you guys to feel into it because I'm leaning towards one, but I'm going to do both at some point. So one is talking about and doing a training over us getting what we want, like making what we want happen. And I think that's such an important topic because so many of us know how to get what we want. And we can think of times in our lives where we were like, oh, I want that, and I'm going to do it. And then the other one is planning for money. I think a lot of us are dealing with this. This has been coming up a lot with my private clients. I actually just wrote content about it. And our nervous system. So, when I talk about neuroscience, how the brain and body communicate, right? Is such a good topic. Yeah. And it's how the brain and body communicate, right? And so it's so important around the money that we desire to have a plan for it. Because if we don't, oftentimes it doesn't feel good in our body, right? And so we want to make sure that whatever money that we're calling in, that we have a plan for it and that it also feels good in our body. So I heard from Holly that planning money is a good topic. Does anybody else have anything to say? Because I can go either way. I have notes for both because I wrote them both out. Because I was like, I really want to talk about both. Haha. Okay. All right. Well, since Holly's on the call, I can do planning money and we can do the other one another day, but I am super excited. Me and Heather in the room. Yeah, I don't know if it's summer or what, but a lot of people have been catching the replay. So yeah, that's totally fine. So anyways, so just wanted to ask you guys. So, okay, let's do planning for money and let's see what comes up. I'm really curious. So when you guys think about money in general, so like, let's not do a specific amount or a specific anything, just money in general. I want you to just think about money and I want you to like pretend that money is literally like raining. Like you can feel it, you can hear it, you can smell it. For me, I don't know why, but smelling money is a really powerful sense when I used to meditate or manifest, like visualize and manifest, which is really weird because a sense of smell is not normally something that's a big deal for me. But for whatever reason, that unlocks a whole nother thing for me with money. So I want you to just imagine that like you can hear it, it's crinkly, it's crispy, you can smell it. Money has a very specific type of smell. And it's just raining money. Like it's not stopping, it's just a constant flow of money. And I want you to scan your body and I want you to notice what's happening. Does it feel like a sense of relief? Like, ah, this is great. Or is there a part of you that also feels a little bit like, ooh, that doesn't feel good, or, ooh, this doesn't feel right, or this doesn't seem right? Is what I'm saying making sense? Because when we allow ourselves to visualize with a lot of our senses engaged, it's really important for us to notice if it feels normal and natural and it feels kind of like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be here, versus it feeling like, oh, this feels out like weird. I shouldn't be here. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And it's waterproof. Yeah. So feel into it. Notice what's happening. It doesn't feel normal, right? So I'm really curious, what about it doesn't feel normal? Is it, and just notice what happens. Is it, well, this amount of money can't just flow in. That's not my reality. That's not normal. It feels like I'm in a dream. Good to notice. So when you start doing this, and I actually have a meditation, I'll drop it for you guys in the group that I listen to a lot, by a guy called Brian Scott. He does something called the Reality Revolution, and very woo-woo esoteric stuff, very much like reality creation, but I enjoy it. And anyways, I'll drop the meditation, but it's called Raining Money. And when I first started doing this meditation like 2 years ago, it felt kind of like a dream as well. And then as I started to do it more often, it became like almost like it felt normal and natural to me. And that's when things started to shift. And every time I listen to this meditation and I engage my senses, I actually get like a bit of money that comes in like randomly. So, we don't go too deep into the woo-woo esoteric side of manifestation in this container or in my world. But I do think it can be beneficial when we're talking about it from a perspective of, okay, if I'm dreaming about this, if I'm visualizing it, how real does it seem? Because when we're able to take those states that feel really dreamy and actually make them feel like a reality for us, is when they start to come into our reality, right? So I just want you to like, just start clocking this and being like, interesting. I can visualize it. I can feel it. I can touch it. I can smell it. I can hear it. Hearing was another one, like hearing the bills hit the floor, like really bringing it and engaging my senses. So really being there and being like, wow, I can engage all my senses. I'm here, but it feels like a dream. Right? Okay. So now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that it's a certain amount of money. So what amount of money do you want to create? Do we want to do in the next week or the next month? I've been doing week lately, but I always like to switch it up because it tells us your body's response to it tells us the difference in different types of money. So do we want to do it with a week or we don't want to do it with a month? Good to notice. A month. Okay. So in 1 month, and this is not clients, this is the amount of money because this is very much planning for money. That's very money oriented. How much money do you want? And I want you to not be logical about this. Don't think about it from your brain. What feels good in your body? What's like a fuck yes, that feels good. So go as big or small as you want. Honor your body's wisdom here. Do not let your cute, sneaky little brain like chime in and tell you a number. Just be like, what do you want? $9,000. Ooh, that feels good. Okay. Like, what do you want? 6K week. Amazing. So do you want a 6K week in the next 4 weeks? Or maybe you're just like, I just want a 6K week. It doesn't really matter. I'm just curious. Okay. All right. I like that. Okay. So now, and notice how your dream or your vision changes, right? So now I want you to imagine the amount of money that you want. And because it's like a 6K week, that's really specific. So it might change. It might not be cash anymore. It might be a check. It might be Stripe notifications. Just notice what changes in your visualization. I like doing cash because cash is something that we can really bring into our, what am I trying to say? Like our senses. You know, it's kind of hard to like sense bank notifications. It's really easy to be like, I can smell money, I can hear money. Now, if you're like talking about Stripe notifications or something, maybe it's like the ding that goes off. Yeah, it's more tangible. That's why I like working with cash. So maybe for this call, we just work with the cash. So I'm curious if you're like, okay, the cash that's raining on me now is 6K. What changes? Does it seem more likely or less likely? Does it seem more like a dream or less like a dream? Yes. And so that is really good to notice for you because for you, obviously the unknown is a factor that does not feel safe to you. And I think we've talked about this. I think we even talked about this on 1-to-1, like the concept of like unknown. And I want to be very clear. The brain and body are not wired for the unknown. It's very common for us to feel very uncomfortable or even anxious or whatever it is that we feel. Like for me, I hate the unknown. Like I've said more times than I want to admit that I would rather have bad news than no news. Like I'm one of these people, I just want to know what's going on. But I think it's also a big reflection of my nervous system and the trauma that I've experienced. Like for me, it's safety when I know. But it's also good for me to realize that about myself because life is very much unknown. And so it's while I get to be okay with knowing that the unknown feels very uncomfortable for me and working on that side of it while also being okay with it. Does that make sense? It's like holding the duality of like, okay, I don't like the unknown. It doesn't feel good to me. And that's okay. I'm human. And being like, okay, what can I do to regulate my nervous system around it? Right. So if you notice that with money specifically, the unknown is a big trigger for you, that is a nugget of gold. Like run with that. Your brain wants specificity. Your brain wants a plan, right? More likely because rather than being more likely I choose comfortable number. Haha. Okay. So I'm curious with the comfortable number. So when you feel into your body, what number feels comfortable? And you can drop it in the chat or you don't have to, it's okay. But what number feels comfortable? And then I want you to go to your edge. Your edge is that feeling of like, it still feels safe, but it's a little bit like on the edge, right? Because sometimes, so it depends on the person, it depends on the nervous system, but sometimes we need that push of like being on the edge. But if our nervous systems are really not feeling safe around the unknown or around money, putting us on the edge is maybe not the best. So the way that I would describe this is like, if you're really struggling to make consistent income and your goal is consistency, then go with the safe number, right? But if you're making consistent income and you want to like quantum leap, go with the edgy number. Does that make sense? Yeah, it is interesting, right? And just kind of feel into it, right? And be like, okay. And I'm really curious is if you move into that feeling of like the edge, why is it that is an edge? I'm curious if there's like a specific memory that pops up for you or a specific thing, because a lot of times just going from this feels comfortable to, ooh, that amount feels okay, but still like, like kind of uncomfortable. Well, what's the difference? It's still just money. So there's wisdom here that your brain and body are trying to communicate, right? So when your brain is telling you cute stories, your body is tensing up and being uncomfortable, it's actually just trying to communicate wisdom to you. So if we can kind of re-gear it and like look at it as like, oh, it's just my brain and body trying to communicate versus, oh my God, this feels so uncomfortable, I don't like it. You'll start to notice a shift and being able to kind of be in that unknown, uncomfortable sensation more. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Want to consider minimum, but also to embrace the excitement of the unknown, fear of growing big. Yeah, I have been waiting for this to come up for you. Since the very beginning, I knew that there was something there around that. And I love that you're getting to the point, like do you see like how it's so sneaky? It's been coming out, but little tiny bits at a time, right? It was like, yeah, it's been little. And so when I work with people, obviously it's different when I'm working with somebody in a one-on-one container because I can dive in with them and their nervous system a little bit more. But when I'm working in this way, especially because we did have a one-on-one session, I knew like, okay, these are probably things that are a thing for her. But because there's a balance of me reflecting things back to people, but also reflecting them when they are ready for it, right? Like, have you guys ever had somebody tell you something and like you couldn't hear it? Like you heard it, but it wouldn't sink in. And it's because your brain just wasn't ready to hear it. So obviously it's different when I'm working one-on-one because I can like kind of like, dive in and like grab it and be like, no, but these containers work a little bit differently. So sometimes our brains will only let us go so far. So I love this. I want you to think back of all the things that have been aha moments for you in this container and that one-off session that we had of like, wow, it all led me to this. I have a fear of getting big. Well, how am I going to scale my business online if I'm scared of being too big? Right? And so now that you know it's here, it's like, what do we do with it? So today we're going to talk about that, but we're also going to make a plan for money. Okay. So I love that that's coming up for you. It's amazing. Yeah. And Holly, for you, I'm really curious if you like, can you embody both? Can you go over here to the safe number and then can you go over here to the exciting number and just feel into both and see what happens that's different? Because sometimes we can hold that duality. Sometimes we can actually like, a lot of people are like, oh, we have one core persona or whatever. I believe that that's why I do parts work, that we are a culmination of a lot of different parts. That's why we can hold the duality of having two different parts, like, being very heart-centered, but also like very like tough, right? I would call that a duality. There's a part of me that's extremely heart-centered and just wants to help everybody. But there's a part of me that's also, I don't want to say tough, but like, like the mom that's like, hey, this is a thing. We need to look at this, right? And so I get to hold the duality of both. And it can be that way with money too. But what you want to notice is if you like, imagine that you have like a gas pedal. So a brake, gas, or I don't know if that's backwards for you guys, but anyways, because it's like like a video. So anyways, wait, gas, brake. There we go. And I want you to notice that if you're holding the duality, sometimes by stepping on both will cause a break and you can't move. Because you're like, okay, I'm going to be safe and I'm going to hold the duality of being big. So check in with that. But sometimes that's what we need. Sometimes it's like, oh, I really can hold the sensation and duality of both in my being, and it's not going to stop me from moving forward. Is that making sense? I feel like this is kind of a very abstract topic, but because it's kind of a small group today, I feel like I can kind of go in with that. I think the safe number feels very grounded and secure, and the unknown feels exciting and good, but not quite grounded. Okay, so if it doesn't feel exactly grounded, ask yourself, what do I need to ground this number in? Because what I'm hearing is that the number that feels safe will happen, right? It'll happen. But if you want to edge into that possibility, well, what do we need to do to make that number feel safe, but also like the most natural and normal thing, right? And so notice what comes up. It might be, I need a plan for money. That's been coming up with my clients a lot. Like, I need a plan for taxes. I need to have a plan for my money. I need to have like a financial plan. But it might also be like, oh, I don't want to be seen. What do I fear would happen if I was seen? Okay, well, I fear that people would judge me. But then the question becomes, well, what does that mean about me? Because people judge us all the time. The only reason that we care is because we're making it mean something about us personally. So get underneath the story. Is it, well, I care if people judge me because I'm bad, or I care if people judge me because XYZ, like fill in the blank. Everybody's story is a little bit different. And so it's super important for us to get to the underneath of why these numbers are the way they are and why the sensations are the way they are. I think I can push and aim for higher as soon as I hit that first 5K. Yes, I do. But here's the funny thing. Like, this is also, again, holding the duality of like working, which I love the other topic. We're going to get into that next week. The other topic covers this, right? Of like holding that duality of making it happen while also being like unattached to the outcome, right? So if you have that story of like, it's almost like needing evidence, like once that first 5K happens, then I'll have evidence. But what would happen if you had that feeling of evidence already? What if you were already relaxed? How would you show up differently? So that's really what manifestation is about, but especially manifestation with neuroscience is about the feeling. So it's like, okay, well, if I need that 5K, what's the 5K going to give me feeling wise? Okay, a sense of safety, a sense of relaxation. Bring that into it. Then take action from that place, right? That's the trick here. Yeah, okay. I've made some progress with planning for money. Oh, okay. So this is like both for you. This call is perfect for you, right? They'll gossip, they'll say things behind my back. So here, like this is going to be a little bit of like a love and shove moment of like, I love you. And also, so here's the thing, guys, is that we all deal with this. If somebody tells you that they don't deal with this, they're full of it. Now, maybe they've gotten really good at dealing with it, right? Like, but even I deal with this. Like, I'll have moments where the other day I was doing one of my processes. I do my processes on myself. I do these to help me figure out what I want to teach you guys. And I noticed that a certain amount of money felt very uncomfortable for me. And it was a lot around, like, my story was super cute though. It was, I just wrote content about this. It was like, oh, that's not integrous. That's not integrity, like in integrity. And it was really funny because when I really sat with that, it wasn't an integrity issue. It was like my brain was literally freaking out and doing everything it could to like tell me that it wasn't safe to move forward or towards it, right? And so to always check in with yourself and always question those things that it's telling, right? So it's like, okay, if I'm judged, what does that mean about me? Or if they gossip. So we have two options. We can make the choice and the nervous system regulation work to not care. So that's tapping, that's like embodiment. That's really being like, I really like somebody can say something and it really doesn't bother me. Not the, oh, they said it and I'm going to pretend it doesn't bother me. Like it actually doesn't bother me, because you can choose that road. You can choose to do that work. Or is it, do I keep myself small and I'm not being seen? Like, you get a choice in this. And I think reminding you guys that you have a choice, handing your power back to you over and over again, that like, you don't have to do any of this. Like, yes, I know that we need money for survival, but like, when your brain and body feels like you have a choice, notice how you relax. You're like, oh, wait, I do have a choice. I can always choose to stay small. Like, okay, or I can choose to be big. It's my choice either way. Do you see the difference in how that feels of like, it's my choice, not in a way where it's like blaming or being like, yeah, okay, good. Okay. I just want to make sure. And guys, also, I don't know if you guys know this, I lost my voice. And today is the first call. I had to reschedule all of last week. I did Money Magic and then I immediately did like a live interview afterwards. And I haven't had a voice for a week. So if I sound a little bit weird, that's why. This is the first call that I've done since all that. And I'm still a little bit like, I don't say sick. I'm not sick, but like I'm really struggling with my voice. So I'm on a lot of like medication for I don't know, whatever it is, like whatever this is, I'm not even sure what it is. They said it was the flu and then they're like, we're not sure. So I feel like I'm a little bit like out of it. So if I keep being like, does that make sense? That's why. Okay. Okay. Love it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And you guys know I love you guys. Like if I miss a money magic call, it's because like I'm really sick. Like I always go out of my way to do these calls because I love them and they give me energy and I love you guys. Okay. So, but if I'm overly being like, does that make sense? That's probably why, because my brain's not 100% yet. Okay. So anyways, all right. So right now, what are you choosing? And I want you to notice how it feels in your body. And you can even move your body, right? Like I choose to stay small. And that there might be a little bit of relaxation of like, oh, okay. But then you'll notice there's a part of you that's like, fuck that. No. You're like, okay. And then you go over here and you're like, okay, I choose to be big. But that also means I'm choosing all the things that come with it. Can I be okay? Or do I feel supported in getting what I need to be okay with all the things that come with being big? Because I'm going to tell you right now, and you guys know this, but if you have a fear of being seen or getting too big, you're not going to allow yourself to go out there and make the money that you want. Like it's very much attached. And so it's like, which one do you want more? Do you want the feeling that the money is going to give you? Or do you want to stay comfortable and small? And there's no wrong answer. Honor your body. Your body will tell you. And the answer may be right now, I want to stay small. And the trick to how you get out of that is being okay with being in it. It's the resistance that trips us up. It's the resistance of, oh, I want to be small right now. And then judging yourself for it. Oh, but I should want more. I should be more. La, 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 la. It's like, no, I'm human. And that's what I want right now. And you'll notice almost immediately that alone gives you permission and the energy shift to move out of it. Is that making sense? Yeah, because it's your choice. And as soon as your brain and body remember that it's your choice and that you are in control, it starts to relax. It's like, okay, yeah, I am in control. I'm supported. I'm good. Right? Okay, good. Okay. So now let's go back to visualizing. So I'm going to do this with you. Visualizing the cash, if that's what feels good for you. I think doing it with cash is really good, right? So the specific amount. So you hear it like literally crinkling, like almost like you're stepping through money. Like you can hear it crinkling, you can hear it hitting the ground, you can feel it on your skin, you can smell it. Like, ooh, I'm getting so like overly sensational. And notice, does it feel overly sensational? What do you need to make this not only feel like a reality, but also feel like it's natural and normal and not overly sensational? So it might be that work of being seen. And if that's it, let me know and we'll do some tapping around it. And then also we're going to get into the money planning. Because we're going to feel into this 3 times today. I just want you to keep feeling into it so you really get clear on what's comfortable, what's not, and how close it is to you. Because I promise you that if you allow yourself to sit in this and it starts to feel close and natural and normal, you'll allow yourself to experience it. I love it. Okay, cool. So we know that, right? Fear of being seen. Okay, so that's a big one. All right. So I'm going to do the money plan first, and then I'm going to do the fear of being seen tapping, and then we're going to check back in with how that raining money feels. How does that sound? Okay, cool. All right. So take that amount of money that you want in the next week or the next month. So if you said, I want 6K in 1 week, can you, and if you can, that's okay, but can you feel into the amount of money in 1 month? What amount do you want? Because and for this purpose, for this one, go big, don't go safe, because this is planning, this is analytical, so you can go a little bit bigger, right? We want to be mindful of going too big when we're in the body. Oh, I love that number, 20K. Oh my God, I would just be over the moon for you. And I know it's possible. I know that you can do that, but for you, it's a lot of feeling safe to be seen. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I was like kind of on a roll and I don't remember exactly what I was saying. Okay. I think I was talking about the plan for money. So remember earlier when we were talking about the number that feels safe and the number that feels like doable, but like edgy. For the planning, because it's analytical, go with the edgy number, the big number. Is that what you were asking for clarification on? Okay, yeah. So let me know if you have questions. So I hope that you have a pen and paper. All I want you to do, you'd be so surprised in how much this is going to shift things for you guys. It's so simple, but it's like so good. I just want you to write down every dollar where it's going to go. Okay. So it might be like $1,000 to pay off X, Y, and Z, 500 to buy or to pay for a coach, like 500, to put towards my savings, like and we're going to do it with the 6K week or the 20K month. Go big with this one. So again, guys, when we're doing the big numbers, it's okay to do big numbers when you're doing this very like analytical planning strategic part. Go big. Okay. When you don't want to, you want to be mindful of going big when we're doing like the body stuff, when you're like visualizing and you're sitting in the sensation, because we don't want you to get overstimulated. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So if you're ever doing something that's like very strategic side of things, you can go big with that. And ironically, what this does is allows your brain to communicate that like that big number actually feels natural and normal. And I'm going to show you, because at the end, I'm going to have you check in with how that big number feels. And you'll notice that it feels more doable now that you have a plan, more doable and more natural and normal than it did before you had the plan. Right. So I'm going to show you guys that. So, and you guys can go more in depth with this off the call, but just for the call, like big overarching numbers, like 500 here, 1,000 there, 4,000 here, like just get it out, right? You can do it more because we don't want to spend our call time doing that, but just to get it out. Okay. Of like, okay, notice immediately, like I can already feel the difference, how your body feels around that number now that you know where the money's going. Notice the difference. And it's probably a pretty big difference with how it feels in your body. Drop it in the chat, right? I know, it's so crazy. Our cute little brains are so adorable. And what they tell us is okay. And what they say is not okay, right? Like, oh my gosh, they're so cute, but they're sneaky too. Like our brains are so stealthy. Right? Okay, so you're starting to see. And here's the big thing for you is that, wow, I still have so much to allocate, tells me that you're playing small. Your point of attraction is very much focused on like the smaller number than the bigger number, which is okay. We get to be okay with that, but just noticing it and being like, wow, this number that I know is doable. I know I can do it. I know it feels good. I know it feels right, but I still have so much left over. It's kind of like this thought of like, wow, like, am I allowing myself to go that big? Does that make sense what I'm saying? And just notice, like, there's no judgment here. There's no right or wrong. We're just like taking a lot of wisdom from the energy that's coming, right? Okay. So now that we have our plan, and again, I highly recommend that you go and do this plan more like in depth off the call, like allocate every dollar and ask yourself what's most important. Like, is paying off debt the most important thing? Make that your priority, because as your brain starts to see the things being that you really want, like if you really want out of debt, oh, the debt's being paid off, it'll immediately relax. Okay. So just be mindful of like what it is that you really want to do with the money, where it's all going. Okay. All right. So now that we have that, okay, so I'm curious with the stuff that you had left over, what did you do with it? It still needs to be allocated somewhere. We want to make sure every dollar is allocated. And it can be allocated to like a fun fund. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is my fun fund. Okay, all right. I would get even more specific and I would divide those. The fun fund, right? I know I just but like divide them. Again, our brains hate specificity. So when we're doing stuff like this, it's so important to have a lot of specificity, because notice, I want you to look at what's going to happen. Just like noticing the difference of having a donation fund and a fun fund, and then imagine splitting that amount whatever way you want in between those two funds. Notice how that feels different. I want you guys to really start tracking how, when you start having specificity around stuff like this, like the planning strategic part, how your body relaxes, how your brain starts to get on board with it. Because it's like, okay, a lot of us, because we don't have a plan, we overspend or we spend on things we shouldn't, or whatever the story is. It's just a story. And then we internally beat ourselves up over it. So a lot of us, that's where that comes from. It's like, well, I've had money and I didn't do, and I'm still in debt and I didn't pay it off and it's not going anywhere. It's not doing anything for me. And then we like internally kind of beat ourselves up over it. Sometimes consciously, a lot of times unconsciously, right? I know that I've done this. This is something that was a big thing for me of like, oh, like, you know, like I feel like I'm not doing anything with my money, right? And so the more specificity that we have, the more that we allow ourselves to experience more of it. I know it's super crazy. Okay. So now I want you to go back into this. We're going to do this. I said 3 times, but we might do it 5 times. Go back into the visualization again. It's raining money. It's that amount of money. Let go of the specificity, let go of all of that and come back to the just, it's raining that amount of money. I can feel it. I can touch it. I can hear it. I can sense it. It's here. Did it change? Does it feel more natural and normal? Does it feel less dreamlike? Check in. I'm going to have you check in after each little thing that we do so you can see the difference of how it feels. For me, it feels different. It feels way more fluid. It feels way more like a flow. Yeah, right? It's crazy. I know. Oh my gosh, something big is coming for you guys. Okay, so now let's do the fear of being seen. So I want you to, I really lovingly, lovingly going to shove you to like, by the way, oh, Heather, you know Bridget, but I don't know if Holly does. Like my mentor, Bridget, she says love and shove. That's where, and I love it because she's like, I love you, but I'm also gonna like push you to like, you know. So love and shove. Let's do, if you like extra points if you can get 5, but write down at least 3 things. Yeah, right. Yeah. Write down at least 3 things that you have a deep fear of. Like if I was saying, because I would be judged, but what does that mean about you? Go deeper. I would be judged as kind of surface. We want to go underneath it. It's like, well, if I'm judged, it's because I'm afraid. Like for me, you guys know this, you know, my story is like, I'm a bad person. I deserve bad things, which is so crazy, right? Like that's the most silly thing of all time. But for people like me that are trauma survivor, our brains will be like, well, you've been through all this terrible stuff. You must be a bad person, right? Like our brain, that's just, our brain is just wired to go off of experience. You know, it doesn't really, it can't really discern all the nuances that come with something like that. So that's been my story for a long time. Luckily, I'm shifting out of it. It's pretty much, I'm not going to say non-existent, but it's very small at this point. So that's my story. It's like people will see me and then they'll like realize I'm a bad person and I deserve bad things, right? Like that's my story. And that's like even when I feel into my body in that, even though I've done so much work around it, it's still a little stingy. Like, ooh, remember that? You know, so get to the root, get to the deepness of it. What is like your story? What is the thing that not being seen is trying to keep you from experiencing? And this is probably something that you've had since you were a child. This is probably very deep learned patterns that you've had from childhood of like, oh yeah, I wasn't worthy, I wasn't good enough, blah, 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 whatever the story is. Rejected. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big one. A big one. And I love how both of you have very similar things, right? Yeah. So out of all of those, which one feels the most like sting? Like, you know, go with that one, work with that one. Rejected. Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's a pretty root. I would even say the other ones are like under the umbrella. Like those are a part of that neural network, but it's not the actual like beginning of it, right? Guys, look at all of this. I love how this is coming up. Like this is a big one. Like it's the same for both of you. And not only is it same from like learned experience, but it's also the same from survival standpoint. You guys have heard me talk about this over and over again, is that survival, we are wired for survival, and our brain will and body, our nervous system will literally be like, if I'm ousted from my family, that means death. Because in the old days, it did. You know, we had to be accepted for our survival. It is deeply ingrained in our nervous system, in our cells, in our DNA to be accepted. So I want you guys to just notice that, first of all, that's there. Second of all, that it's okay that it's there because it's a deep thing that all humans experience and deal with. And third, just to be like, it's okay that I have that, right? I'm human. I get to experience that. I vowed to myself that I would know. Yeah, I'm so curious. I don't remember what call it was on, but you had brought that up. You said, I made a vow to myself. And now I'm not sure like how to navigate it. Was that the same vow? I remember you saying that. You're like, so that's a big one for you. If this keeps coming up, this is what we need to shift. So notice, guys, if it's the same stories over and over and over again, that's like we're literally handing you the magic wand, the math of like what to shift to get to the next level. And guys, I'm not going to lie to you. Once you shift this, there'll be another one that pops up. Like never like, I don't say this to be disheartening. I just want to context people around the work. There's always work to be done, right? It's not a journey. There's no end. We always have work to do, but the work gets easier. It starts to be like, oh, that doesn't feel good. I'm not going to deal with that. Or I'm going to sit down and process it. Or I'm going to tap, or I'm going to journal. It just starts to become quicker. And it's because at the beginning, I remember when I first started doing this work, I was like, oh my God, I have to be so intentional. I have to check in all the time. This is exhausting. It's too much. Know that if you're feeling that way, it's normal. And it won't always feel that way. And that's why we have these containers to hold you in that space to check in once a week, right? Because if I'm being completely honest, this container is enough to do that, right? Like, yeah, you want to go faster, then maybe you want a different container, but like, it's enough to hold that space for you to do it once a week. So don't, if you ever get to a point where like this feels like so much always checking in, just allow yourself to take the foot off the gas for a bit and be like, wait a minute, I'm in a container that makes sure that I check in with this stuff once a week. Yes, I feel about. Yeah, never ends. Yeah, we just get better at it. Exactly. Okay, so fear of being seen, fear of being rejected. Anything else that we want to add to the tapping part? Fear of being ousted by family, family rejection, riches being bad, misunderstood. Okay, so those are the things we're going to check. Challenges with dating. Girl, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, yeah. And we've talked about that so many times. That's part of it. Okay. All right. You guys ready to do some tapping? Okay, cool. So you guys know that I have just been flowing with my tapping. I'm doing tapping totally different like every week because I don't know, I go with the flow of it. But again, full permission for you to mute me, do it your own way, say your own words. Because you know, the way I originally teach it is like, this is tapping out the negative and installing the positive. I do that because it's easy to teach you how to do it on your own, right? Traditional tapping can be very difficult. Heather knows this because she's learned it before she ever came into my world, that it can be a little bit like, oh, am I doing it right? Like, is this the right thing? Am I saying it right? So that's why I taught you guys the other way. With that being said, again, tapping is so great because it's also teaching us how to trust what we need in the healing process, right? So it's like, oh, my mentor or whoever is saying this, but actually I need to hear this, or she's tapping here, but I need to tap here. So if you need to follow me or you want to, totally fine. But just notice if you want to tap somewhere else or you want to say something different. Okay, here we go. And I'm not exactly sure what's going to come out. I'm just going to go with the flow. So actually on a scale from 1 to 10 though, let's just do the rejection part because I really feel like that's a big one for you guys. How much is that present? Like, ooh, yeah, that fear is really big. It's a 10 because we just want to check back in at the end that it's gone. Yeah, so pretty high numbers. Okay, all right, here we go. So I want you, as we tap, to feel that feeling. We want to get rid of the feeling, the thoughts, and the sensations, okay? All right, so I'm just feeling all of these sensations, all of these emotions, all of these thoughts that are associated with me feeling rejected. And it's safe for me to feel them because I know that they're just here to tell me something. And when I choose to slow down and listen, when I choose to let them give me the wisdom, it's safe for me to experience it. And as soon as I'm okay with experiencing the sensations, they lessen. They start to feel a little bit less. And I'm so ready to completely let them go because they're just not needed anymore. Letting all the sensations, all the thoughts, all the feelings, letting them go now. Letting go of that fear of rejection. Literally seeing it drain from your body into the ground. It's not yours anymore. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Yeah, geez. Okay, we're going to start at the top of our head again. This idea of being rejected, this fear of being seen, it was protecting me for a very long time. But I am so ready to see it differently, and I'm so ready to let it go. Because the truth is that I could never really be rejected. The truth is that my people and the people that are meant to be in my life could never actually reject me. The only real person that could ever reject me is me, and I choose differently. I'm ready to let that fear of rejection go now. Let it go. Let it go. Guys, I've said this on the call before, but I want to say it again. I used to do the collarbones, but I've moved to this part. We call this the sore area. I don't remember what we call it, but you'll notice it's right here and it is a little sore. I've started using this and it's made my tapping like crazy. So just you guys can do either, but that's why I've moved that. Okay, starting at the top. And you know what? That fear of rejection also came as like a fear of being seen, a fear of being misunderstood. Like no one gets me, no one understands me. Everyone is so dedicated to misunderstanding me. And it is just not safe for me to be seen because no one will get it. And I'm just going to be judged. But I can see that that's a story. I can see that that's not true. And I choose differently. I'm letting that story go now. I'm letting those thoughts go, those feelings go, and the sensations go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Yeah, I felt like a big shift in somebody. I don't know who that was, but there was like, ooh. Okay, again, at the top, we're going a few more today. And now this cute little story that having money is bad, being rich is bad. I know that when I was growing up, everybody would tell me that rich people are assholes. And I would see my family talk about rich people. And it made me believe that having money is bad. But I know the truth. And the truth is when I have more money, I can relax more. I can be a better partner, a better wife, a better daughter, a better friend, better everything. Because money is just energy and money is allowing myself to relax and regulate my nervous system. And I know that when I'm relaxed, I know when I'm regulated, that I'm actually of the most service. And so anything that's no longer serving me, any belief around money, especially that money is bad, I'm letting it go now. I'm literally feeling it drain from my body. I'm literally feeling the earth take it. It's not mine anymore. And I get to just let all of it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Yeah, let it go. Peace. Okay. So here we're going to install. So we're just going to say all the good things. So again, I don't exactly know what your good things are. So you can mute me if you need to. Okay. All right. It is safe for me to be seen. When I'm seen, I actually help a lot of people. I get to connect with people. The biggest gift I could ever give anyone is for people to see me as my best self. And I owe it to myself, but also to others to be my best self. And I know that being seen allows other people to experience that. It's leading by example. It is safe for me to be seen. It is so safe for me to be seen. And I know that I have the support that if people judge me, that I know how to navigate it. It is safe for me to be seen. It's safe for me to feel seen. It's safe for more attention to be on me. It's never going to feel great, but the trick is to have a system and support to navigate it. And I have all of that. I know how to navigate bad feelings. I know how to navigate bad thoughts. I know how to navigate judgment. And the fear of it is just a story. It's just trying to keep me safe. It's just trying to keep me small. So I choose differently. It's safe for me to be seen. It's safe for me to have money. When I have money, I'm my best version of myself. And I want you guys to really know that, like really think about when you have money and you're so relaxed and you're like, wow, like I give more, I'm more relaxed, I'm more present. That is the biggest gift to the world, to really tap in this feeling of like, and knowing, it's more than a feeling. It's more of like a knowing of like, when I have more money, I'm better. So let's just say that when I have more money, I'm better. When I have more money, I'm more relaxed. When I have more money, I have more to give. More money to give, more love to give, more energy to give. When I have more money, I get to do more. I get to be more. I get to experience more. Having more is better. It's safe for me to have more money. It's safe for me to be seen. It's safe for me to experience everything that I want to experience in this life. I'm going to say that one again. It's safe for me to experience everything I want to experience in this life. I'm so held. I'm so supported. I have all the tools I could need. I know that I'm safe and I'm ready to feel safe to be seen and good to have money now. It is so good for me to have money. I'm the best version of myself when I have money. Yeah, there you go. Oh, there. Yeah. Okay. So now on a scale from 1 to 10, how big is that fear of being seen or rejected? I don't even know if I said rejected in any of that, but let's just see what happens. Let's just see. 5. Oh my gosh. 3. Okay, let's see if we can get it. I'm going to do the fear of rejection. Let's see if we can get that lower because we didn't even say it. But I want you guys to see how I didn't even say fear of rejection and how it's still lower because they're all related. They're all in the same neural network. It's like a spider web, right? And so we're just like picking all the pieces apart. Okay, so I'm just letting go of this fear of being rejected. I know that I'm hardwired to fear that. But now that I see that it's just trying to keep me safe, I'm ready to let that go. I'm ready to let go of the misunderstanding that I could ever be rejected. The truth is that I'm always going to be here for myself. And because I'm always here for myself, I could never actually be rejected. It is safe for me to let go of the idea that I could ever be rejected. I'm letting go of that. Letting it go, letting it go, letting it go. Peace. We're going to do a few of those because I can feel it still here. And I just feel these sensations in my body. The feeling of being rejected is literally the worst feeling. And I'm so ready to just let it go. And because I'm giving it my loving attention, I can feel it softening now. That the feelings and sensations were just there to give me information and there to keep me safe. But now that I have the information, now that I have the wisdom, I don't need the feelings and sensations anymore. And I'm ready to let those go now. I'm ready to let them drain from my body. They're not serving me anymore. Let it go, let it go, let it go. All right, one more. This fear of rejection. You know, it's funny. It doesn't even feel that big anymore. So I know this is working. And I'm so ready to let go all of it. Every last bit, every thought, emotion, feeling, sensation, feeling it drain from my body now, because I now have the wisdom that it was trying to communicate. All the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and sensations are no longer needed. Letting all of it go now. Yeah, there we go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Peace. Okay, so now we're going to tap in love and acceptance. I am so accepted. And I want you to go back to a time when people just like accepted you for who you were. No judgment. So like, I am so accepted. I'm so loved. It is safe for me to show up in all my humanness. I'm a human. I get to make mistakes. I get to be seen. And it is safe for me to be seen. It is safe for me to feel loved. It is safe for me to be accepted. It is safe for me to be accepted. Maybe I never allowed myself to be accepted because it didn't feel natural and normal. And I'm choosing differently now. This is what safe feels like. This is what accepted feels like. And because I choose to give myself the feeling of safety and acceptance, I now have safety and acceptance. And when I feel safety and when I accept myself, other people accept me too. It starts with me. I have the power. I am in control. And I choose acceptance. I choose love. I'm feeling that love in my body now. I'm feeling that sense of acceptance. It is safe for me to be accepted. It's safe for me to be loved. It's safe for me to be seen. There we go. That did it. Okay. All right. Now on a scale from 1 to 10, how big is that fear of being seen? I love that. Yay. That's amazing. Can't feel it at all. That's the purpose. Okay, so now go back into your vision. Hear the money, feel it, see it. And I was a few minutes late getting on, so I'm going to hold the space. The longer that you can sit in this feeling with all your senses activated, the more that you're going to allow yourself to experience in the real world, because our bodies can't tell the difference between real and imagined. So we're basically practicing having this amount of money in our real life. Yeah. And that's okay that it's still there, but 2 is still pretty good. But I would get really curious on what you need to shift that to. Okay, so just sitting in this, and notice if any colors come up, because colors are really powerful. But like, we're sitting here and that amount of money is literally raining onto our skin. It's in our bubble, it's in our world, it's in our experience. We can, oh, sorry guys. I have another call after this, so that's why that went off. Just feel it now. Like you can literally, like someone's walking, like you're walking and you can hear like stepping, like the crinkling of the money. You can feel it on your skin. You can smell it. You can hear it like landing on you and the floor. It's here. It's yours. Notice how you feel in your body. Notice if any colors come up or sensations, but like good sensations. Notice what this feels like in your body. How long can you sit in it? And the more you sit in it, the more that you feel it in your experience. Notice any inspired ideas that drop in. What do you need to do in the next week or the next month or the next 24 hours to get money coming in? Sometimes we go for the biggest thing when we really just need the small wins to be like, yeah, this is working, right? So what do you need to go out and make money? Money's already here. Feel it. It's here. I just want you to clearly see that it was just your energy. Like, I hate using that term because it's so thrown around, but like literally the energy in your body was blocking you from feeling this, experiencing. Do you feel the openness now? Can you feel like the flow now? The longer you can sit in this, the more that your brain and body will be like, oh yeah, that's normal. That's my reality. Cool. It's yours. It's here. And notice if it starts to get overly sensational, because sometimes what happens is like, oh, wow, this feels great. This feels natural. This feels normal. And then the longer you sit in it, sometimes it'll start to be like building, like overly sensational. So notice if that happens. It may not, which is great, but just notice. Because if that happens, what is happening is your brain is like, wait a second. That is not natural and normal for you. Don't go there. Like literally watch how your brain is trying to talk you out of that being your new reality. It's not your brain's fault. Your brain is wired for safety, and safety means staying in your comfort zone. So just notice, even now, sitting in this and being like, wow, this feels doable. This feels natural and normal. And then notice if your brain starts to be like, wait a minute, call it out. Good, perfect. That's it. That's all you need. But if that starts to happen, if you notice that you start to feel a little bit like, just call it out and be like, hey brain, I see you, you're adorable, but like, no. And then immediately it'll calm down. It'll be like, oh, okay. All right. So I'm curious. 2 things. What are you going to do? I want an action step. It can be 24 hours. It can be the next week or the next month, but I want it to be actionable. It's not just, oh, I'm going to be more relaxed around money. It's like, no, I'm going to actually do something. Because the fastest way to create new neural networks and pathways is to actually be in action with the knowings that we have, right? It's like going to school and just learning versus actually implementing. So what are you guys going to do? And then I'm also just really curious around if your plan for money. So I do want you to go revisit that. If anything's changed, like, oh, actually, I want to put this here, or I need more buckets for my money to go in. Just notice if anything comes up. Maybe something doesn't, I don't know, but edit some of the good older content in my vault and hype it up. I love that. Guys, people buy your hype. Actually, I just had my coach call me out because I was selling something that I was not hyped about. And she was like, well, no one's going to buy it if you're not hyped about it. And I was like, you're so right. Like, we have to be hyped about our stuff. It could literally, guys, we could be excited about a pencil and somebody would buy it because Your excitement is contagious and people buy from emotion. So the more excited you can be about your things, and if you're not like a naturally excited person, then your version of excitement. I'm not saying that you have to be me, right? And be like, but like like maybe passion is your version of excitement. Like, wow, really ground into what you provide as a service and be like, like, oh, wow. Or it's like, you can go either way. My shit's amazing, hype it up, or it's like, wow, look at all the amazing things that I provide for my clients. They both are okay to go from. Yeah. Amazing. I love it. Start emailing my list. Yes, 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 yes. I'm really curious. I just would love to know. Sorry, we're going to go over a little bit, but do you make a lot of sales from conversation, like that sort of connection? So the other thing, this has also been coming up with a lot of my one-on-one clients lately, is that they're putting a lot of energy, and it's not wrong, but a lot of energy into things that is not their way, right? So for me, for example, I know my way. My way is podcasts, lives, anything that I can talk and speak live, people buy from me. Literally, people hear me on a podcast and they Google me and find me. I've got people pending in the membership right now because they heard me on a podcast and Googled my name and found the membership or the Facebook thing. And I haven't officially, it's open, but I haven't officially announced it yet. And so they're just pending. I haven't accepted them because I haven't created like a welcome video or anything. And so the point of me telling you that is that's my thing. That is my aligned way of selling. I know that that's what works for me. People hear me and they buy from me. So I want you to really think about how people buy from you. Like when you think back and you're like, okay, what worked? Because yes, like we have to have CEO days. We have to look at data. We have to be like, what's working and what's not. We have to do that as well, right? We are business owners. So mixing it in and being like, okay, is this action step in alignment with the things that I know make me money? So for example, like you saying hype up your content, I know that'll make you money. I know that's a part of your brand. I know that you being excited about stuff helps you sell. But if you're saying connect and create conversations, is that the way that you've been able to sell in the past? Or is that something that you just want to do because you want to do it, which is fine. There's no wrong answer, but I just want you to start seeing like how we know what inspired action is and if it's in alignment. So if the goal is to get more money, the aligned action, inspired action is like, okay, what am I going to do to get more money? That is my aligned creative way of making money. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I feel like I'm just babbling today. Everyone good? Sorry, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I just want to make sure you guys felt fully supported. Good question. Usually video. Yes, it totally makes sense. I've been afraid to reach out to my list. Okay, good to notice. This is amazing. So even, yes, go for it. Absolutely. That is like the inspired action. A lot of times our inspired action is like the stuff that we've been doing. But if there's something that you've been wanting to do and haven't, that's next level inspiration. That's like, okay, I'm ready to get out of my comfort zone. Go do that. That's amazing. I think that's fabulous. All right, guys, let me know how this week goes. I'm sending you guys all the love. And I'm also just holding this space and this intentionality behind it that like that money is yours. It's here. Okay. Ah, good. I'm so glad. And you guys have access to the replays. Are you liking? I don't know if you've used the replay or the thing, the Podia, but I figured it's a little bit easier because it's like, oh, you just click it and you don't have to like scroll through to find the things. Okay, amazing. All right, guys. Well, let me know if you need anything. I am in the Facebook group, so let me know if you guys need anything, and I will see you guys next week. Okay, bye.